Good morning. It's Mr. Grant. It's been a while since I've done one of these. So I'm going to try to give you a little help on our latest assessment, which is creating the graphic organizer that identifies how the North and how the South profited from slavery from our weeks of learning about slavery in America. So, what I have here is an organizer um, that you can see in the background that's called a slavery comparison. I've used this for another activity, but the format and the structure is what we want for your organizer. So, there are three parts to this. Part one is it says, and that's the first box right here. And it says is really um, taking a direct quote from the text. You can see where it says evidence from a source. This is a direct quote, a statistic, a fact, and it comes directly from a document that we used in class. And you would quote it. Now, for example, if we're trying to identify how the northern colonies profited from slavery, one of the things we mentioned was they were involved in the slave trade. So, from northern profits from slavery, we identified that 60 to 90% of the slave trade was controlled by Rhode Island. And that could be a direct quote from one of our sources. Okay, so that would be in quotation marks. You'd identify the source. And then we go to the next box, which says, I say. So put that in your own words. What does that mean? How could you paraphrase that in your own words? Rhode Island controls 60 to 90% of the slave trade. In my head, that's a lot. So I would say Rhode Island controlled most of the slave trade in America. See, I've taken the statistics, I put it in my own words. And then our final box, the and so. I like to add the what. And so what? Yeah, great. You got this great quote, great statistic. How does that answer the question, which is how did the North profit from slavery? Well, think about that. If one colony controlled 90% of the slave trade, how much slave trade is left for everybody else? 10%. So if one colony is controlling 90% of the slave trade, who's getting 90% of the money from the slave trade? That would be Rhode Island. So this is where you're using the evidence, your interpretation of the evidence to show that you can answer the question. And so that's what you're going to be doing for the graphic organizer. One for the North, one organizer for the South. So you take the direct quote, put it in your own words, explain it, and then make that connection on how the North or the South was getting wealthy using that evidence to prove it. Okay, so that's hopefully this organizer helps you out a little bit. I will post it in Google Classroom with this little explanation. Of course, if you're in class, I'll be giving you the explanation live in person. All right, so that is where we're ending. So hopefully, if you have any questions, let me know, and let's get that assessment completed.